I'm live. Hey, holy crap. I'd say you're early for sure there, Bruce Whiteman. Never too early, though. I'm glad to see someone's in the chat already. Just going to get the old notifications sent out. See if we can't round up a few more peeps to join the stream. And obviously, based on the title of today's stream, going to be covering that Nova Scotia incident, the big tragedy that well, we're still getting information. So a lot of information still yet to be determined, but I'm going to try to at least deal with what information we do have currently. All right. All right. And that's good for that. Okay, get back to the comment section. Okay, where's the one I'm going to start with here? Okay. All right. I got it. Yeah, there's actually another strange aspect of the story. Like I say, I'll wait till a few people start streaming in before I get dove right into it. Show there's two people here. Hey, what's going on, Tommy Gunn? Good morning to you. Good morning. Howard G, good morning. How's everyone doing this morning? Ian Myers, what's going on, Ian? Hope everyone's doing well this morning. It's a little chilly, isn't it? I know, at least in my neck of the woods, it's like, geez, winter back again? It's back again? It's just starting to get a little sniff of the warm climate, just a little taste, and then we got, just the other day, probably another 4 inches of snow. It's pretty much all gone now, but it's still pretty chilly. Still pretty chilly. What's this here? Have no proof. I heard the guy lost. It was losing business and Snap. Do you know of any truth? Yeah, as far as that, I'm not sure on that one. Still under house arrest. Yeah. 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 Tired of the lockdown myself too there, Tom, again. Well, I mean, for me, obviously it doesn't have a huge effect on me, but I definitely understand what's going on. GZ in the BC. GZ from BC. Wow. What would you be? 7:30 in the morning there. So you're probably still enjoying your morning coffee or cup of tea, I would assume. Anyways, nice to see you're up nice and early to join the stream, though. I really appreciate that for sure. Oh, by the way, gotta remember to keep doing this every time in the stream, right? But that's the thing. I used to just, when I upload my videos, it's a little picture image I use that says like, subscribe, and share, and all that. But that doesn't come when I do these streams. It's not automatically uploaded, so I have to kind of do it myself. So I'm just asking, like I say, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, and if you haven't already, I will. Although that's the thing, I would imagine everyone here in the stream right now is already subscribed to the channel, so not too overly concerned with the subscribe. But hit that old like button, like I say. That's the one thing that it's one of my pet peeves and grievances I have with a lot of people, and it's the simple thing of just hit the like button. Pretty much everything I watch, or like even if it's someone's post on, it doesn't take long, and it's I don't know, it's something I think most people should kind of get into a habit of doing. Chilly and rainy here, yeah. Yeah, that's a crappy chilly and rainy, right? I think it's supposed to start getting better though, as the week progresses. It seems like it's supposed to, anyways. Of course, when it comes to the weather, that can change in a moment. And especially some parts of Canada, you can go through all 4 seasons in a 24-hour time frame, right? See, shooter had no pal. Yeah, yeah. I wonder how the libs are going to spin the gun control. Well, that's definitely going to be one aspect of the story that I'm going to be covering for sure. Is this whole, because especially for the lefties, and man, I wish I could get some of those folks, that those anti-gun folks, to actually come watch a stream such as this. That's the problem though today, is everyone runs to their, perspective corner, and nobody wants to listen to each other anymore. It's everyone talking past each other or over or under, or it's just, but there's no real genuine conversations taking place. Not, like I say, not really not just in the establishment media, or even like when you're talking about the alternative media or YouTubers or content creators, like very, very rare, right? It's almost like an exception to see people actually sit down and have a genuine conversation, or even engage in some discourse or debate. What it is I don't know. It's, to me, that's a serious lack of bravery on everyone's part. Is, like I say, whether you identify as right or left, you should be more than willing, if you believe that you're confident in your position or your stance on any particular issue, at the very least, you should be willing to have it challenged, have your premises or your stance challenged in any way. That's how you properly educate people, which is why I'm quite disappointed on a regular basis that I don't have anyone that's willing to step up the plate, that actually disagrees with me or wants to push back against, my stance on most issues. Because to me, it's like, that's actually how you prove whose stance is more articulated and makes more sense, is by having someone else challenge it. To me, there's days where it's like, I just feel like I'm freaking repeat. Some days it's like, well, let me just hit play and then put it on an infinite loop, right? Respect my liberty, right? I don't know. Like I say, I'm still trying, and maybe at some point in time, I don't know, some people will come out of the woodwork and be willing to actually engage in an actual conversation about these very important issues. Because, like I say, these days it seems to be a very, very rare thing. Morning, people, watch them spin this to gut. Oh yeah, they're already doing that, Kaz. They're already doing that. They're busy dyeing their hair purple. Hey, some of them are, right? Mr. Noodles, gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, what's going on? E Sharp. Good morning. Or showing off their socks. Yeah. Trudeau and the showing off of the socks. Like, what the hell's wrong with that guy? Yeah. Lots wrong with that guy. Also, the real tragedy is a Canadian is prohibited and protect them. That is, to me, that's the big thing, right? What's this here? 12 hours. No alert issued. Yeah. Oh, we're definitely going to get to all this. So yeah, the prohibited, like Tommy Guns bringing up, is, yeah. I mean, obviously the police were after the fact and, in combination with the alert, but yes, who would have any ability to defend themselves against a crazed armed gunman unless you're armed yourself? Having an entire citizenry of defenseless, helpless citizens, just no wonder there's so many Canadians, well, certain Canadians, that seem to have to run towards government all the time because they haven't taken that personal responsibility to learn how to be defensive. And that's the beautiful thing about firearms, is they're the great equalizers, right? Anyway, so now that we're all here, so I just want to, let's just start at the very first. So I'm just going to deal with this first article from CBC, because basically they're just to get the numbers and kind of get things on the ball here, right? So as it's being reported, well, all the media outlets are reporting it, obviously. But so it says here, as the headline out of Nova Scotia, 22 victims confirmed dead in Nova Scotia mass shooting. Now, that doesn't include the shooter, so there'd be 23 in total if you include the shooter. The victims include a pregnant continuing care assistant and a 17-year-old girl. This being reported by Taryn Grant, April 21st, 2020. 22 people are now confirmed dead after the shooting rampage that began Saturday in Portapique, Nova Scotia, and ended Sunday almost 100 kilometers away in Enfield. RCMP gave the new death toll, which excluded the shooter, Tuesday night in a news release. The known victims include an elementary school teacher, 2 healthcare workers, a family of 3 with a 17-year-old girl, and an RCMP officer. It is not clear if police still expect the number of victims to rise. They also confirmed the locations across the province where they found victims: Portapique, Wentworth, Debert, Shubenacadie, and Enfield. The investigative team is focused on learning more about this very tragic situation, including accurate victim information and whether others may have aided the suspect, police said. So I'm kind of interested to hear about this others may have aided the suspect, because there's another article I'm going to be referenced on a little bit later on, which kind of does at least raise that peak of curiosity. As police investigators compiled evidence from the 16 crime scenes scattered around those towns, the piles of flowers and mournful notes as memorials across Nova Scotia are growing. On Tuesday, police maintained a blockade at the top of Portapique Beach Road, where police were called to respond to a possible shooting and multiple structure fires around 11:30 p.m. Saturday. They found several casualties at the time. Okay, I'm just going to see if there's anything else down here. So we do definitely, well, from what we know, the gentleman's name, or actually shouldn't say gentleman, the sociopath, this deranged killer, I guess you would call him, would be a better description, I guess, is Gabriel Wortman, 51. His death has been referred to, so they're going to do a SIRT, so they investigate themselves anytime someone is killed by the police. Yeah, and of course we also know as well that the gunman was wearing an authentic apparently RCMP uniform based on this article out of CBC. So it was an actual RCMP uniform, but it does turn out, from what I'm hearing from other reports, that he was a bit of a police aficionado, like kind of into that stuff. So some of that stuff might explain why he seemed to have not just a police uniform, but even I guess a car that was basically done up to look almost, well, to me, as far as just looking at the picture, like identical to a real police car. And I guess that more than 5 structures and cars were burnt in the course of the shooting. That's another thing. How were they burnt? Like, that's even, I would like to know even about how did that happen? How did that all unfold? Okay. So there was, I guess, 2 nurses killed. Kristen Beaton, Heather O'Brien that were also killed, and apparently elementary school. Let's see, was an elementary school teacher apparently. Oh, okay. Now here's where the issue with the alert. Although let me see here. Yeah. Okay. Well, rather than deal with it in this article, then I am going to deal with that alert. But let me just switch over to another article, because I have one that's actually referencing it even better. Okay, so this one is a CBC. I don't know why they feel they have to put it under the politics section, which basically suggests that there's some political rhetoric contained within it. Anyways, the headline out of questions emerge about RCMP's failure to send emergency alert on gunman's rampage. Nova Scotia Premier said province had technicians on hand to send an alert, but the Mounties never asked. This was reported by John Paul Tasker, April 21st, 2020. The RCMP in Nova Scotia knew it had a murderous gunman on the loose Saturday night, but failed to warn local residents about the threat to their safety through the provincial emergency alert system. It's a decision that has friends and family of some of the victims wondering if their loved ones would be alive now if they'd been warned about an armed killer at large in Colchester County. I feel strongly about that. I do feel if we had received an alert, an Amber Alert, we'd have we've had COVID-19 alerts, then many people might have been spared, said Heather Matthews, a longtime walking partner and neighbor of Lillian Heislop. So that's it. It's not just like for children. So the Amber's alert. Yes, apparently there's even been alerts sent out just in regards to the lockdown, where the government is telling people, to not leave their homes, to stay isolated, that whole spiel, right? So yes, these alerts are used for multiple purposes. And I mean, I've been privy to hearing these alerts myself, and where they've alerted in regards. A lot of times it may very well be the ones that I usually, especially when I was in Ontario, there was a couple where it was a missing child, but it turned out it was just basically a custody thing. Like the father, had the kid for too long or took the kid from the mother because of some incident or whatever. And then it was ultimately clarified afterwards, the fact. But one thing about the emergency alert system is it works because it goes out to, to cell phones, it goes out to radio, it goes out to on multiple platforms as a reason. And the reason for that is so that people can get alerted to just such incidents or emergencies that happen. I mean, what more? I mean, if you think about it, a deranged gunman on the loose in rural Nova Scotia, right? Whether they knew he was driving a police car and wearing a police officer uniform, regardless, at the very least, to inform the citizenry, at least in that vicinity, or even all of Nova Scotia, wouldn't be the detrimental, but at least, at least that county or that county and a couple surrounding counties, at the very least, they should have been alerting people in that particular jurisdiction. Like I say, I would suggest that it wouldn't even harm to alert all of Nova Scotia. Or, hey, what the hell? Maybe even make it a national broadcast. Like I say, that's still up in the air in interpretation, whether you would need to do it on the national level. But at the very least, at the provincial level, and just to be even remotely reasonable in terms of giving people a chance to defend themselves or protect themselves from this deranged gunman, at least at the local level, which did not happen, as we've heard, by many reports so far, or at least I'm sure most of you have, is they didn't even send out the alert. They did it as a tweet. And I mean, I'll even admit, as much as I'm on social media and on a lot of these platforms, Twitter would be the last thing. Twitter, actually, when I'm going through my social media pages, Twitter is like the last thing I worry about, because I mean, it has its purposes. I get it, which is why I have a Twitter account, but it's basically useless for a multitude of things. And considering that the area that this happened at, in a rural area, you would definitely have a lot of older people, right? That's typical of the East Coast. In those rural communities, you do end up with a lot of people in the senior years, and a lot of them don't use Twitter, right? I mean, a lot of them, Facebook is their thing, right? It's not necessarily Twitter or any of these other social media platforms. It's usually Facebook. So no, to make sure you were getting that message out, regardless of what social media platform most people use, at the very least, if you had done it so they got their alerts through the emergency broadcast system or something that does go out to television, radio, and your cell phone, that would have guaranteed that people were informed and knowledgeable in regards to that. And it's obviously this person they're talking about in this one, Heather Matthews, is obviously feels strongly about the fact that, yes, if they had received an alert, lives very much could have been saved. Heislop was killed Sunday morning in the Wentworth area, roughly 8 hours after the shooter had killed people in Portapique, a community 40 kilometers to the south. Matthews and her husband took a different path on their walk that morning, avoiding the roadway. So actually, I think I might have dealt with that particular story with a stream, or with the stream from the other day anyways. But once again, it says the RCMP alerts went out on Twitter, but has been being pointed out time and time again. You have the emergency alert system for a reason, right? And obviously the Twitter choice was a really, really bad choice. But that's the thing, is anyone going to be held to account for this? Or are they just going to be able to say, oops, we made a mistake? People died. A lot of people died. 22 people died, 23 if you include the gunman himself, but 20 people died as a consequence of the failure of the RCMP to put out on this alert, which, like I say, I mean, you don't have to do much speculating at all to suggest, could it have saved lives? I would almost say 100%. Definitely. if people were alerted to this, that it could have saved lives. And to kind of better allude to that fact is not just my subjective opinion. Let me get to another article that might better allude to that realization, which is quite sad, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm going to deal with it anyways. Because, yeah, I feel like when I heard this story, as a guy that's been with my wife a long time, yeah, this it breaks my heart to hear this kind of stuff. And according to this person, well, that alert could have meant the difference between him having his wife alive today and, sadly, not just his wife, but a yet to be born child that was inside of her womb. Anyway, so like I say, CBC News out of Nova Scotia. I would not have left my wife. I would not have let my wife leave. Widower blasts lack of emergency alert during Nova Scotia shooting. Alert could have saved lives, says husband of slain healthcare worker. This is reported by Alex Cook, April 21st, 2020. The husband of a healthcare worker killed in Sunday's attacks in Nova Scotia is criticizing the fact that an emergency alert was not sent out and people were instead updated about the situation through the RCMP's Twitter account. I would not have let my wife leave. If I had that broadcast come across that he was on the loose and he was driving an RCMP vehicle, Nick Beaton told CBC's As It Happened, referring to the suspected gunman. Beaton didn't know the man was in a police uniform and driving what appeared to be a police cruiser until it was too late. Well, I would suggest I'm pretty sure that maybe this gentleman, although I can't suggest to speak for him, but even if the person wasn't told or suggested to be in a police vehicle, if your wife was in the general vicinity or in that area, would you want her to be traveling out by herself, right? Maybe not so. If you had this kind of alert that there was a crazy gunman driving around killing a bunch of people. At the very least, even if you didn't know how many different incidents there were or how many different locations there were, that would definitely have an effect on people's mindset and what they would do as they're going about their morning day. They'd be at the very least, on heightened alert, right? Kristen Beaton, a continuing care assistant who had worked for the Victoria Order of Nurses for nearly 6 years, was one of at least 22 people killed in Saturday's rampage. Beaton says an alert, such as the one Nova Scotians received over the Easter weekend, warning them to practice physical distancing, could have saved lives. So, yeah, so they sent out the alert, right, to tell people to social distance, but they didn't send out the alert in the hopes or in the anticipation that they might have saved some real lives because a mad gunman was on the loose and on a mass rampage, that ended up ultimately taking 22 lives, right? Anyways, like I say, let's get to the part. Because like I say, I didn't see that at the very top. I didn't notice about the secondary part of the story until I read a little further down here. So as you can see, the next text was telling her he was in Glenholm. She never got to read it, he said. Compounding the loss is that Kristen was pregnant. We didn't even get to share it with the family yet, he said. So, and apparently that's a picture of the lady there now. So, absolutely devastating. So not only did the man lose his wife, he also lost his yet to be born child. So, pretty devastating stuff, folks. Devastating stuff. And obviously, as I would suggest, and I'm not looking to be opportunistic just to place blame, but come on, let's just be realistic. That should have been something that should have been done, right? Is to send out that alert. And I do genuinely hope that someone's held to account for not doing so. Thanks, Ebatlis or IB Atlas. Yeah, anything. Pretty much there's not much you can't use as a weapon, right? That's the problem with people trying to put forth the notion that if you just crack down and destroy people's ability to have a means to protect themselves, you'll somehow stop bad things from happening. Well, like I see, time and time again, we're shown over and over that it's all built on foolish naivety and just plain ignorance in regards to how things actually properly function in the real world. Nova Scotia shooter, not a legal gun owner. Yet here comes Trudeau. So yeah, now that you brought that up, I like your miscellaneous silliness. Skeletor. Skeletor, that's funny. I have not seen Skeletor in a while. So let me close up a few of these articles. Okay, what's the next one? Yeah, so now that you brought that up, let's go with this first article. I'm going to deal with it kind of in a I got a few articles opened up for, but I want to start with this one first out of the what is it? True North News, I believe. Where'd it go? Where, oh, where, oh, where? There we go. Okay, so this one, like I say, is out of True North News. Politicizing a tragedy. Just one day after Nova Scotia killed Gabriel Wortman. Just one day after Nova Scotia killer Gabriel Wortman was taken down by police, Trudeau sees the attack as justification for gun control. This was reported by Andrew Lawton, April 22nd, 2020. Just one day after Nova Scotia killed Gabriel Wortman, Gabriel Wortman was taken down by police. Justin Trudeau sees the attack as justification for gun control. True North's Andrew Lawton talks about Trudeau's politicization of a tragedy and why the facts are likely to prove inconvenient for those seeking to restrict legal gun ownership. Also, a grocery store workers union wants a law restricting how often you can buy groceries. Oh, okay, yeah. So that's so that's actually probably you'd have to watch the video to get the rest of that story. So let me just move on to the next one here, because this is the one out of Rebel News, which basically will be alluding to what was already shared earlier on, and the fact that, all the politicizing they want to do in regards to this story isn't going to change the fact that it still would have happened, right? So what are they suggesting today? That they should have been what? Restricted firearms are going to be, or increasing the amount of firearms that are going to be deemed or classified as restriction. That's one of the things that the federal Liberals have been putting forth. Increased background checks, right? And a massive ramp up in the kind of regulations and rules that a gun owner needs or requires just to own a firearm in this country. Now, based on the very real fact that this gun owner, or this murderous rampage individual didn't have a gun license, obviously it didn't affect the fact that he went and killed a bunch of people. Well, I mean, I've said this so many times before in the past too. I kind of get sick of even hearing myself because it sounds like a broken record, but criminals don't obey laws. People that are, especially someone that's going to go out on a rampage and start killing a bunch of people, just because you wrote something down on a piece of paper or parchment or on a computer screen somewhere that says you're not allowed to go kill people or to have these particular firearms is not going to prevent these people from getting their hands on these firearms, because there are firearms out there in the real world, and there are ways of people to get their hands on them without going through the legal means. And we all know this because a lot of the times when you hear about these shootings that happen in the big urban centers is by these gangbangers, and almost every time without exception, these gangbangers never register their guns, right? They're all bought and sold under the table, in the illegal market, however you want to describe it. But yeah, these are people that don't abide by current or existing laws. I mean, just by the sheer fact that, murder comes with a pretty severe punishment. Could be as much as your entire life spent behind bars, right? The most severe punishment you can get other than capital punishment. So these people automatically already know that they're, if they get caught doing what they're doing, they're already, even if they kill someone, whatever, right? You can use a kitchen knife, your vehicle, there's a baseball bat. If you murder someone, regardless of the weapon you used, the punishment is already massively severe. And these people, anyone alive today knows if you kill someone, yeah, the punishment's quite severe. So there's already that to use as a deterrent towards people committing crimes. But even that doesn't prevent people from committing crimes, as we all know. Now, what it does do by having these ramp up in gun laws is prevent good people from having the ability to defend themselves. Because a lot of people don't necessarily want to have themselves in the RCMP database and having their criminal backgrounds checked day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. Because that's what happens if you do have your PAL license, is you're basically getting a criminal background check every day. But this person didn't care for following the law. Just by sheer fact that, like, they already broke multitudes of laws before they even went on that murderous rampage or spree. So, I mean, like I say, this stuff, anyways, I'll read a little bit from the article. The gunman in the massacre that left at least 19 dead. Well, obviously, this story is a couple days older. I believe what day was that? Yeah, this was Sheila Gunn Reid, April 21st to 2020. So it was obviously before the update in the numbers. Had been prohibited from owning firearms after an assault conviction stemming from an incident more than 18 years ago. Gabriel Wortman, a denturist from Dartmouth, was dressed in a uniform similar to the one worn by law enforcement when he committed the murders last weekend, as reported to have driven a car resembling a police officer. According to the report in the Toronto Star, court records show Wortman was convicted but conditionally discharged over the October 29th, 2001 assault, which led him to be tasked with reporting to a probation officer for 9 months. He was also required not to own, possess, or carry a weapon, ammunition, or explosive substance, according to court documents. Wortman was further required to attend for assessment and counseling in anger management as directed by his probation officer. Wortman is also listed as being convicted in Toronto provincial courts for speeding in 1997. What the hell does that have anything to do with it? And had a pending speeding charge in the same court with a court date. Okay, what the hell does speeding tickets have to do with it? Anyways, RCMP officials have faced harsh criticism for failing to use the provincial emergency alert system to notify the public of Gabriel Wortman's 12-hour-long rampage in rural northern Nova Scotia that left a trail of bodies at 16 different crime scenes. But anyways, like I say, now RCMP Commissioner Brenda Luckie declined to tell the media if Wortman had a gun license at an earlier press conference, because that's the thing, because that was a conditional discharge, that original conviction from back in 2001, that could have been overturned. Like the prohibition against his ability to have a gun license could have been overturned, because if it's a conditional discharge, as long as he meets those conditions, then, on the end of that, then basically it's almost like your criminal record. It doesn't go away entirely, but they can't use that against you. So it might very well turn out, although from what I'm reading in a couple other reports, but yet have yet to be determined. So it's still kind of speculative at this point, but that is actually information that isn't 100% known at this particular moment, as far as I know. So he may have had the license, he may not. But at the very least, like I say, whether he had the license or not, obviously he already chose to ignore the rules or the laws in regards to, causing harm to people or murdering people in cold blood, right? So, I mean, was he someone that's going to pay attention to laws just because they're written down on the books? No, obviously not. Anyways, I'm going to get back into the chat here. I actually had something I was going to talk about when I was reading that, and it kind of just escaped my mind there for a short time, but maybe it'll come back. You surrender your right to seizure once you own an RPAL and to warrant less inspections to your lockup. Yeah. Okay. Damn it, my weed fell in toaster behind that. Get yourself just make sure you unplug it before you stick the tongs down there or something to grab it. So just a little safety advice there this morning for you. Be careful you don't electrocute yourself trying to get that weed out there. Hey, good morning, Rika. Good morning to you. Good morning. Okay, where was that? I seen about the two cops. Yeah, I was going to get to that if I could find that here. Where did that go? Where did that go? Holy crap. There we go. Yeah. So 2 cops shot up a fire station while he was being pursued. So now that you brought that up, White Lightning, let's get to that story because, yeah, I found that quite interesting. Okay, bullet holes. Bullet holes. Make sure you can all see that. I'm going to have to increase the font size for sure. Oh, yeah. Bullet holes in the fire hall. RCMP shootout leaves Onslow woman in fright. This was reported by Harry Sullivan, says a day ago, 20 hours ago. And it's out of the chronicleherald.ca. Lower Onslow. Let me just take a quick drink there, folks. Lower Onslow, Nova Scotia. Joy McCabe was cooking breakfast Sunday morning when she looked out her kitchen window and had the fright of her life. An RCMP car had just stopped in the middle of the road near her home. 2 officers got out and immediately started firing from a point that almost appeared like they were firing directly at her house. That would be quite the fright, right? McCabe, 61, has lived at the residence for decades, and she said throughout all that time, she and husband have played a regular morning game. Usually when I'm cooking breakfast, I look out at the flags on the fire hall. I'll look over and I'll yell to my husband, "What direction do you think the wind is blowing today?" she said. So I look at that, and then while I'm cooking breakfast, I kind of look around just out the window, standing there by the stove. It's just been a thing to kind of look up the road to see if anybody's coming. I had no idea that all this stuff is going on, she said, of the havoc being wrought by the Sunday morning shooter. And while I'm looking, the car pulled up right there in the middle of the road, opened both doors, and started shooting. And then I remembered seeing just a little blurb on my Facebook about shooting. And I said, I think the guy's here that was doing some shooting. And down I got and went into the bedroom. I didn't know where to go at that time. Just who the RCMP officers were shooting at remains under investigation, which has been handed over to the province's serious incident response team. On one section of the firehouse wall, numerous small pellet-like holes run in a vertical line pretty much from top to bottom. So as you can see, there's a picture of that right there, obviously contained of those holes in the side of the wall of that building. Fire Chief Greg Muse said the windshield was shot out of one of the fire trucks, while another bullet pierced a fender and a frost plug was shot out of the engine block. Another bullet left scratch marks on a monument in front of the hall dedicated to deceased members of the brigade. Mies said he was not at liberty to discuss the situation further, given the ongoing investigation. A number of firefighters were in the fire hall at the time, he said, along with members of the Colchester Regional Emergency Response Team. Now, the fact that it said that both doors, right, of this police cruiser, that lady said that both doors open, suggests that there was more than one person at least that exited that vehicle, right? Yeah, well, it says actually even before that, it says 2 officers got out and immediately started firing. Yeah, and while I'm looking, the car pulled right up there in the middle of the road, opened both doors, and started shooting. So, yeah, both doors sounds like from what they're saying there is 2 officers. So it sounds like 2 officers get out of both sides of the police vehicle and just started shooting up. Now, where was it their bullets, the ones that were hitting the fire, the fire department vehicle, or these or the building, the building itself? Like I said, this is still information we're going to have to wait to try to find out because we're not getting anything so far. McCabe said after the officers finished shooting, they moved up a little closer and crouched down behind a wooden garbage bin near the edge of the road. They shot on their way over, and then they crouched down behind the bin. McCabe said she does not know how many shots were fired. We were trying to figure that out last night, she said, Tuesday. I asked my husband, he said he doesn't know. He just heard it go pop, 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 pop. We were thinking maybe around 6. After the shooting stopped, McCabe said she went back to the window, at which point she noticed someone crouched down between 2 vehicles in the fire hall parking lot. After I got a little bit more comfortable and my husband said there wasn't anything going on, I looked and there was a guy down between 2 cars, she said. All I could see was the top of the head. I could see that it was a shaven head, like a brush cut, you know. And I don't know why. I just thought, why is he ducking and hiding if isn't, it's got to be the shooter. hmm. Come Monday, however, McCabe said she learned that the actual shooter had already passed through the area by that point, which she estimated at between 10 and 10:30. So definitely more interesting facts coming to light, right? Let me just finish this article up. Although she figures the entire incident lasted no more than 10 minutes before the officers left the scene, in the moment, it seemed like an eternity. And like a horror movie running on a loop, it has been replaying itself in her head ever since. I have many times, get really scared and worried. And if I hear a strange noise or something, and I mean, it will probably stay with me because I can see them coming with their guns and stuff and shooting, and I can hear those noises. Not all day or anything, but when I go to settle down, it hits me, she said. You don't hear guns going off here for no reason. I couldn't understand why because I hadn't read much or seen much about anything of the day's events. Pat Curran, SIRT's interim director, said he could not provide much information because the investigation into the incident is in its early stages. He did acknowledge that 2 RCMP officers did discharge their firearms at the scene, though he could not identify which weapons were used. And just why and just who and why the officers were shooting at is also an integral part of the investigation. So, yeah. Actually, it does say that there's an update here to this particular thing. So maybe let me just check that out. If it'll load. Doesn't seem to want to load at this particular time. Oh, sorry, I left that on there. Yeah, the government failed, which is quite regular. I don't know why this article doesn't seem to want to load there, folks. I opened it up. Oh, okay, now it is. All right, let me pull this one off and see if there's any new information in this one. This one is only updated 2 hours ago. So yeah, maybe I'll add this one to the stream. I'll have to remember to add this after the fact because I haven't done that yet. But yeah, I definitely agree, Stan. Alt, yeah. Fail big time. Okay. This one, it says SRT. There we go. Yeah, let me increase the size of the fonts here. So this is Saltwire Network from Atlantic, Canada. SIRT investigating RCMP activity at Onslow Belmont Fire Hall during Sunday shooting rampage. Once again, reported by Harry Sullivan. The Onslow Belmont Fire Brigade Hall was being used as a registration center for evacuees from the Port Peak Beach area Sunday morning when RCMP officers arrived on scene and opened fire. The hall was used to provide a place where residents could come take a break, register and get hotel and Red Cross information, the brigade says in a Facebook posting, which has since been removed. We can confirm that around 10:30 a.m., there was gunfire at our hall, and the gunfire caused considerable damage to our property, including taking one of our trucks out of service, the posting said. Fire Chief Greg Muse, bullet damage to one fender, the engine block, and the windshield were destroyed. The hall was being used in coordination with the Emergency Management Office, which had members on scene. An RCMP officer and cruiser were staged on the property to assist with evacuee registration, and several other people were also on scene. Our video surveillance does not capture the shooters, but does show 2 people who appear to be RCMP officers enter our property, one to the front and one to the rear, the posting continues. One of these people enters our hall at the front but no one who is sheltered inside the hall spoke with the person resembling the officer, RCMP officer, so we cannot confirm why they were there. No one identified themselves as an RCMP officer. They left our property shortly after the gunfire. We have since been contacted by SIRT and are cooperating with their ongoing investigation. Fortunately, no one was physically injured. This is weird, right? Joy McCabe, who lives directly beside the fire hall, so this is that one that that was being reported in the other article. Very odd. Very odd. McCabe said that after the officers finished shooting, they moved up a little closer. Okay. Back to the window. After got a little more okay. So said he could not. Pat Curran, SRRT's interim director, said he could not provide much information because the best to. No one from the brigade was immediately available for further comment. So I don't know. So far, that's still obviously an unfolding story. So definitely lots of questions remain regarding that. But it does seem very odd, right? At the very least, it's very, very odd that you have basically two RCMP officers jumping out of a police vehicle and opening fire on who? We don't know. Still to be determined, I guess. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Bruce. They're already plenty strict enough. Yeah, man is evil, not guns. Gun is just an inanimate object, right? You can't do a damn thing unless there's somebody on the other side of that. And that's like I say, you take away people's guns. Well, look in the UK, they took away a lot of people's guns, and what you end up with is a lot of murders. And actually, the murder rate surpassed that of even New York City. In London, was it this year or last year? Well, we're earlier in 2020, so I believe it was last year in 2019. Might have even been 2018. But the murder rate in the UK, I believe it was London, actually is higher. And I believe there was even in Canada, it was getting to the point where some of the murder rates, even some in our cities, were getting to the point it was higher than in places such as like New York City, where a lot of these murders would happen as a consequence of firearms. So owning a gun. But if you're shot or stabbed to death, right, sucks either way, doesn't it? So you can ban guns all you want, but all they do, the criminals, all they end up doing is turning towards a different means to cause their harm or to kill people. I mean, they've used those cooking pots, whether pressure cookers, they use pressure cookers, vehicles, a cube van, right? A rental cube van, a rental truck can cause a tremendous amount of damage, as we've learned based on that incident that happened up in Ontario, right? Where the guy drove up on the sidewalk and took out, I don't know how many people he took out driving that rental van. Actually, that wasn't even a big cube van. It was just a regular rental van, but obviously, and then there was in France a couple of years ago where that deranged terrorist killed 70 people or so with that big, I think that was like a big rental van or whatever, where he ran into a big, large crowd over there. So if people want to kill people, if people have ill intentions and criminal intent, yeah, you can try to take away their ability to own a firearm, but even that won't prevent them from getting a firearm because they'll just find somewhere that I mean, well, actually, let me just point out this example because I remember it being reported on too, is this gentleman or shouldn't say this gentleman, this sociopath, this killer in Nova Scotia, actually ended up taking the firearm from that police officer that he originally killed, that female police officer. So, I mean, even if he didn't have a weapon originally, even if let's say he hypothetically ran this officer over, killed her, well, then she's laying there with a sidearm, right? So, he could have, which he did, obviously grab the weapon there. So, yes, causing harm to legal gun owners and infringing upon their rights to have the ability to protect themselves. Because that's the other thing, when these idiots in the media or these politicians like Bill Blair or Justin Trudeau constantly talk about, well, we got to disarm these people. Well, what you're doing is you're basically suggesting that you should disarm the people that need a weapon to defend themselves against these sociopaths. Because how many times we see time and time again, that when there's a criminal, active in your neighborhood, well, the police are, when the threat is seconds away, the police are at the very least minutes away. So they can't be there to protect you. The only one that can protect you in that situation is yourself. And you better damn well have some kind of a weapon, because if they're coming at you with a gun, well, running at them with a knife or a baseball bat, chances are you're on the losing end of that engagement, right? So no, having the ability to defend yourself is of vital importance. And I would expect most Canadians, even some people on the left, are at least finally coming around to realize that stuff. I just can't imagine how people these days can fall for this stuff, any further. The RCMP are so misinformed. He was calling a pal an FAC. That's how up to date he was in the press conference. FAC. Yeah, wow, right. Just trying to catch up on the stream here, folks, before I go on. Yeah, MK, yeah. Yeah, it's like saying no virus allowed, right? Yeah, exactly. Very unfair to legal gun owners that have done nothing wrong and actually need their firearms to be able to protect themselves from just such a sociopath, right? Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that one too, Stan. Hey, what's going on, Mr. G Rich? What's happening? Good to see you in the stream. Hello there. Hello. 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 Okay, let's see. Let's see what's going on here. I'm on 140p. Okay, I'm trying to see. Is anyone saying that the stream is messing up here? YouTube just cut my comments. YouTube just cut my comments. Really? William Shearer. I'll try to see if anything happens after the fact, after I get off, see if I notice anything. All right, back down. I'm going to go down a little further here. I know the local police here couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, but we have one MP who practices with us once in a while at the club. Yeah. Well, like I've said in many past streams, a lot of the boys that I grew up with, or I know in the rural communities, and not just my own rural community, but many. I like I say, I know lots of people all over this province, and yeah, a lot of the people that are definitely into hunting, firearms owners, is a hunter, a typical hunter in places such as where I'm from. Yeah, very, very proficient in their use of their weapon. Much more so than some of these officers that end up basically coming to these rural communities from the big cities to dip their toes in the water in these little communities. The only really place that they've ever gone to practice shooting is out to the local fire range once in a blue moon, right? Whereas, yeah, where I grow up, it's like hunting season, and we're not talking about in a nice closed off, air conditioned environment, right? Where where the targets are very well understood what they look like, and like it's just the kind of, like I say, the kind of people that are trained solely in just like firing range. I'm not saying that they can't be competent, but yeah, an actual hunter that's maybe traversing through mud up to your knees, right? Maybe trying to find a moose or pick one off from a few hundred yards away, having to go through trees. I mean, yeah, like I say, hunters definitely, or a lot of them at least, are definitely much more proficient in their use of firearms than a lot of these people that are police officers. Of course, yeah, of course, like some are obviously, right? Some, because you could be an RCMP officer that grew up Because that's the other thing. There are some of these RCMP officers who did grow up and are, hunters themselves. So when is Trudeau going to pay the price for his crimes? That's a good question. That's a good question. That is a good question. Yeah, that's crazy, right? 22 victims, 16 crime scenes over about 100 kilometers in 12 to 13 hours by one guy, right? Which tells you, you know, basically half a dozen people. Think about what kind of damage half a dozen people could do if that was just one guy, right? So, yeah, it's just crazy, folks. Crazy stuff. Oh, you having an issue with it? Looks like Tommy Gunn's having an issue. Is it my stream? Yeah, it could very well be. Hey, what's this business chicken? London has knife problems, not to be confused with their machete problems. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, like that was kind of what I was pointing out there earlier there. By the way, if you haven't already, business chicken, hit the like button on the stream. We would be really appreciative of that. Just going to try to scroll down. See what this last comment. Hey, brother, we still have many unanswered questions from the Danforth shooting. Yeah. Or the Quebec Moss shooting. Yeah. Get ready for the gun grab. You're not wasting your breath, brother. Well, thank you very much, Don Cummins. But yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying. And yes, definitely. And I would suggest for all Canadians is make sure you have the ability. Hey, what's going on, Ken? Make sure you have the ability to defend yourself, right? If you allow anybody on this planet to put yourself in such a precarious position and knowing how crazy the world is and how things can unfold going forward. I mean, think about it. If the economy truly breaks down even worse than it is already, and we know like the writing's on the wall at this point, right? But if it continues at this pace, and I mean, oil in negative territory, millions of people out of work, in those situations, under those conditions, under those in those environments, crimes always escalate. That's just the reality. Crimes always escalate, especially in particular when the economy is going through really tough times. That's just a reflection of reality. And if you combine all the other aspects of top-down authoritarianism and people being, basically locked up in their own homes, a lot of pent-up anger, a lot of pent-up frustration, a lot of angst out there, right? A lot of stress, a lot of nerves are being frayed at this point in time. So yeah, this would be the worst time ever to try to disarm anybody, because we need the ability to defend ourselves just when incidents such as this starts to happen or unfold. So do not be naive. Do not be foolish. Do not do anything that will place yourself, your life, or those you love in jeopardy, and make sure you have the ability to defend yourself. Don't go by what some politician tells you or what their fucking mindless order followers suggest, right? No, because the only one that's responsible for your life, to be honest with you, is yourself. And the people you care about, the one that you need to rely on solely to take care of them is you. So if the government tells you that you should disarm yourself and not be in a position to defend yourself or your family, then they have ill intentions, and you should never listen to anyone that has ill intentions and doesn't take your safety and security into their mind, into their equations. What's going on, Ken? All phones have an emergency alert function. I heard about some kid getting grabbed by his father 500 miles away from me. So what the fuck is going on in Nova Scotia with no alerts being sent to the public? Exactly, Ken. I say the same thing. And by the way, thanks for being a member. I'm pretty sure I already covered all that stuff. But anyways, yeah, I'm totally with you there, because that's the thing. Yes, and I've heard those alerts too. Me and my wife, like I say, when we were still in Ontario, had a couple of those alerts go out. And it was basically a father that was, it was some kind of custodial dispute between the mother and the father kind of ordeal, but like whatever. And I get that people were pissed off that they were sending them out. But yeah, this was a perfect example where having that alert system and using it would have been really pertinent thing to do. But hey, when you actually need them, right? Yeah. That would be nice, but like I say, you'd have to get a lot of Canadians on board to actually caring about their liberties. And like I keep saying, folks, and I know it's a terrible thing to say, but it's just a reality. But a lot of Canadians don't seem to care about their freedoms. All they care about is some pretense of safety and security, right? Trudeau comes by his dishonesty naturally, but Bill Blair is a shameless serial liar, well polished and rehearsed. Oh yeah, Bill Blair. I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover or just by looking at him, but he does have that look about him. And when he talks, it's like, yeah, that is an evil, vile, vile man. And the worst part of it is he's one of those evil, vile men that pretend otherwise, right? It's like, yeah, just disgusting, just a disgusting human being. That Bill Blair. NL Expat, what's going on? Thanks for joining the stream. If you don't mind hitting that like button, I'd be really appreciative. Hope springs eternal in democracy. Unfortunately, for the minority population, provinces with no equality is eternally hopeless. That is an unfortunate thing. It is an absolute unfortunate thing. NL Expat, and yeah, I can't say I can't say I disagree with you. Is Nazi and liberal the same thing? No. Well, that's the thing. If you allow them to manipulate the language, they can make it whatever the hell it means. But like I say, I don't go by like I see. Don't allow political rhetoric or these sophists trick you into using words the way they want them to be used. Look up a Nazi, which is a Nazi is a National Socialist. The Nazi regime was a National Socialist Worker Party. That's what they were. National Socialists is what they were. Now, fascist was their particular style of socialism. But liberals, historically, if you're talking about a liberal and what it actually means to be a liberal, not what people that identify as liberal today, the people who go out there and it's like Trudeau calls himself a liberal, there's nothing liberal about the guy. He would be, if you want to use that term, collectivist, he's definitely a collectivist, or like one of these so-called progressives, although once again, even with that progressive moniker, you can point some holes through that shit too when they talk about this progressive, right? But and what they are is they're authoritarian collectivists. They're collectivists, right? Now, what are their tendencies in terms of their particular form of authoritarianism or collectivism? It all depends. But a liberal is someone that properly believes in the rights of the individual. Just look it up. Like, that's what I mean. Don't allow other people to tell you what words mean. Don't even allow me to tell you what words mean. I would never be so naive as enough to tell you that you should listen to what I have. That's what's so crazy about so many people, and a lot of them from the left, is they think they can just reinvent the words or languages to mean whatever the hell they want. Well, okay, well, you try that out. Try that out and see how that works for you. Me, I stick with the actual language that I speak with, and the language has English has predefined meanings to the words and terms that we use. And like I say, liberal is someone that actually does liberal in the classical sense, not what people that identify as liberal today, because that's what I mean. They want to use the banner liberal, but they're not liberals. A liberal actually does respect individual rights, and a liberal would never be trying to destroy or ignore your individual rights. So they're not liberals. They're not liberals by any stretch of the imagination. Harper had to capitulate to the Quebec majority population. Mob rule, political system equal. Well, Harper wasn't any better. I mean, wasn't Harper in power when they went to the High River, right? Confiscated a bunch of people's guns. Harper was in charge. Harper was the man, right? When they brought about Bill C-51 to invade on our privacies, to spy on us and get government, literally in our private businesses and our private communications. Yep. That was Harper. Oh, and who bailed out all the banksters that are now, like I say, they've been making it like bandits ever since, making record profits, propping up this fucking ridiculous housing market that's keeping entire generations of the younger people in Canada out of the housing market entirely. I mean, just a bunch of crooks, right? And Harper was right there, part and parcel of it all. So I know some people have this thing where they think Harper was what? If you measure him against Trudeau, I guess you might be able to say what he's one. I don't know. He's an inch above in terms of like I wouldn't even give him, like say they're all a bunch of crooks, all a bunch of authoritarians, all a bunch of collectivists. That's a problem with people when they get into that political ideology, though. It's like they just got to show some kind of a part of the team. Anyway, so I'm going to continue on. I'll close that one up. Close that one up. Close that one up. Yeah, and there was this one actually talking about the gun control, but I might as well, since I'm going to be sharing it, I might as well bring this into the, because yeah, Bill Blair. It's not just Trudeau, folks. Bill Blair, same thing. As you can see, all excited about fucking with Canadians these days. Talk about political opportunism, right? I mean, not even waiting, give a little time, for the grievance or the time of grievance for people to subside, right? They're literally jumping on this political bandwagon. Why? Because they're going to use your emotions against you. They're going to use fear. They're going to use, manipulation. Like I say, these are sociopaths. They'll politically manipulate people to implement their authoritarian tactics. Anyways, this out of iPolitics. Blair wants stricter gun control legislation introduced as quickly as possible. This is by Charlie Pinkerton, April 20th. Canada's public safety minister said he plans to introduce stricter gun laws as soon as possible, despite ongoing uncertainties around Parliament's operation due to COVID-19 physical distance restrictions, after a gunman killed at least 18 people in Nova Scotia over the weekend. It is my intention to bring forward that legislation as quickly as possible, but that has been our intention, Public Safety Minister Bill Blair said on Monday. The rampage in Nova Scotia, thought to be the deadliest mass shooting in Canadian history, only ended after the suspected gunman was shot and killed by police near Halifax around noon on Sunday. So what you're saying is the only way the gunman was taken down, this is how fucking insane. Like, think about how insane these idiots are. Well, I mean, because they're so full of political rhetoric, they don't recognize the contradictions all the time. But the only way this gunman was taken down was by another person with a gun. Now, of course, they're going to say, well, yeah, but it's the police with a gun. Well, anyone with a gun would do it. If you're competent and you know how to use a firearm, you don't have to fucking have a badge or wear a uniform, to take out this person. You could just be a competent gun owner who's trained in the use of firearms. That's all that's required. And that is literally the only thing that prevented this gunman from continuing on with his rampage, was another person with a gun to prevent him from doing so. But like I say, these political hacks, I mean, like, just unbelievable, right? The RCMP is continuing its investigation of violence that took place across the suspected 16 crime scene. Anyways, yeah, it's just a bunch of crap talking about a bunch of politics. I'd rather watch paint dry, to be honest with you. So get rid of that. That's why I don't watch Question Period either. I'd rather watch paint dry. I really seriously would. Not that I have this thing for paint drying, but I just know that it would probably be way better than watching fucking a bunch of politicians fucking sit and lie to each other all day long. Don't know why anyone wants to watch that stuff, to be honest with you. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, NL. I appreciate that. I try. Like I say, it seems the more work I put into these days, though, the less. But like I say, I don't care. Whatever. The less I've never gotten such low amount of views on my videos. Well, unless like I've said before, I'd have to go back about 4 or 5 years to see videos that only get 100 to 200 views. But whatever it is, whatever the reason is, it is what it is. Anyways, so okay, that salt wire, I got to save that up because I'm going to. And then there was this one actually by Lily. Trudeau gives China pass, then targets gun owners. I might as well read this for the heck of it, right? And then I'll get back into the AMA, get some, if anyone's got any questions there. So this is out of the Toronto Sun. Brian Lilly. Trudeau gives China pass, then targets gun owners. April 20th, 2020. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau strode to the podium outside his home in Ottawa and said so many soothing words to a country reeling from the tragedy that had unfolded in Nova Scotia the day before. When we needed someone to evoke the feelings many of us were dealing with in the wake of the murder spree, Trudeau was on point. What's up with that? We stand with you and we grieve with you, and you can count on our government's full support during this incredibly painful time, Trudeau said to the people of Nova Scotia. No one man's action can build a wall between us and a better day, no matter how evil, how thoughtless, or how destructive. It It would have been fine had the PM left it at that. Instead, he used this tragedy to start talking about his gun control plans before the RCMP had even confirmed that all the bodies from the massacre had been found. It's quite the contrast to his reaction when asked several times last week about the blame China's government should face over its actions and, at times, inactions that led to the spread of the coronavirus and the deaths of nearly 1,600 Canadians and growing. Why is your government so reluctant to acknowledge China's possible faults in the pandemic? The Globe and Mail's Mariette Walsh asked Trudeau last week as more evidence emerged that China has lowballed the number of people infected and the number of people who died in Wuhan from COVID-19. The revision of those numbers came days after it was revealed that China had kept quiet about the fact that it was facing a pandemic. The Chinese government found out on January 14th, but didn't publicly disclose the information until January 20th. In the meantime, hundreds of thousands of visitors poured into Wuhan from the Lunar New Year celebrations, including many Canadians who brought the virus back with them. Yet on Friday, as every time he was asked before, Trudeau refused to say a single word against China or even call it out by name. There will be plenty of time to point fingers, to ask questions, to draw conclusions, and to ensure that there are consequences for things that different countries may have done during the pandemic, Trudeau said. I wonder what he means by different countries. Surely not China, which lied to the world. This is part of a pattern with Trudeau. He will claim now is not the time. He will say we can get into finger pointing and drawing conclusions later if it involves China. He wants it to seem that he is above politics and the petty concerns that go with it when China is involved. Yet when it is a political issue that he is keen to move on, well, then there is no time like the present. Sure, Trudeau gave the obligatory comment about waiting for the right moment before jumping in with his comments. I can say that we're on the verge of introducing legislation to ban assault-style weapons across this country, Trudeau said, without even knowing what firearms were used in the spree. So in response to the absolutely senseless and horrific incident in Nova Scotia, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is not only willing to speak out against more than 2 million licensed gun owners, he was willing to act against them and pass legislation or government orders to seize property they legally own that had nothing to do with what happened. Yet when it comes to China unleashing a deadly virus that has killed close to 170,000 people around the world, Trudeau remains silent for where blame lies. Makes you question who he really sees as a threat. Yeah, great point, Brian Lilly, and I would definitely agree with you on that one. I mean, think about it. It's just pure political opportunism, and it's the most vile, despicable kind, right? Because I mean, politicians, that's just what they do. We get that politicians are vile. They're very opportunistic. But to use such an event, such a tragedy, to try to play that political game and disarm millions of Canadians who, obviously, like I was saying earlier, need their ability to defend themselves from these sociopaths or these actors. And yet, do you know who I'm talking about? The gunman or Trudeau? Because they both are sociopaths for sure, right? And Canadians definitely need to protect themselves in some way against all the sociopaths that seem hell-bent on destroying their lives. There's lots of people with some very, very evil intentions in this country, and it isn't just that Nova Scotia gunman or shooter. One thing I will say about the Nova Scotia gunman or shooter is he made his intentions very obvious, right? Some of the ones that have much worse intentions than even the shooter will never tell you such. They'll try to tell you that they're only here to help, right? I mean, how many governments around the world throughout history have caused so much harm, death, and destruction to not just, a couple dozen people, but to countless millions of people, all under the guise that they were just doing it for the greater good, right? Let's not forget about that, folks. Let's not forget about that. Never let a good crisis go to waste. This is new. Yeah, I agree. 100%. 100%. Anyways, folks, I'm probably not going to keep this stream going on for too awfully long. I got a whole bunch of stuff in regards to the coronavirus that I'll be covering. Actually, while I do have you here, let me just check real quick and make sure nothing new hasn't popped up regarding this thing. No, it's still going to take a little while, I think, for the news to come out. Yeah, no. No, it looks like yeah, I don't see a whole lot in terms of news stories in regards to the shooting. So, like I said, I'll just put the rest of this as the articles for this page. Oh, yeah, there's this one. I still have to add this one. Yeah. Okay. All right, folks. So, anyways, like I said, I'll just take a quick look here in the chat. Now, if I could actually ask those of you who are in the stream, like I say, if you haven't already, I could really, really use the help in terms of getting my subscriber count up because I'm actually down. What was it? As of yesterday, I'm down 16 subscribers just for the last. Well, they only give you a 28-day time frame. I could actually go into my full-on analytics and expand that out to find out how much I've lost over the last months, 6 months, or whatever. But just in the statistics that I noticed already, is I've lost 16 subscribers just in the last 28 days. So 4 weeks, which is that's 4 per week. I have no idea why I'm continually bleeding subscribers unless I don't know if I'm pissing people off. I like I say, it's just actually I haven't been working out. Thanks there, NLX Pack. I've just minor exercises. The big workouts I actually haven't been doing too much as of lately. I definitely got to get to it. And as we get to the warmer weather, that's when I'll probably start getting ramping up my exercise routines for sure. But thanks, I appreciate that. But anyways, like I say, I don't know what's going on. A lot of us are speculating as to why. Thank you very much, Tommy Gunn. Appreciate that. Like I say, I have no idea as to why, and it's not even like I say. I know it seems like I'm talking when I bring these things up. It's like, why are you worried? What it is I can't get my information out to enough people if I don't have a decent subscriber count and like I say, the click-through rates, there's just, like I say, I'm just trying my best here, folks, and I don't know what else to do other than to beg and plead with people just to help me in as many different ways as you can in terms of letting me get my information out there because like I say, I can only do so much. I mean, I'm trying my best. I'm trying my hardest on a regular basis. Like I'm even streaming almost like every other day. Like I say, I've tried. Well, I've experimented a couple different things in the past. I've tried to reducing from my video load, which I did. I tried to increase my video load, which I did. I tried stepping away for a little bit, which I did, and now I'm back in full. It just, I don't know what it is, but it just seems like basically within the last few months in particular, it seems like there's nothing I do. Nothing I do. I don't. I have no idea what it's going to take to be able to get my channel to stop bleeding subscribers. I really don't know. I really, really don't know. But like I say, that what it does is when you're constantly bleeding subscribers, that tells YouTube's algorithms that this channel is obviously doing something wrong, which makes sense, right? Even the dumb algorithm. I mean, can you blame the algorithm? Even people, I suppose, could you blame them? If you see something where there's less or very small amounts of views, plus the subscribe count keeps going down, like I say, whether that's an algorithm or a person, it's like, well, yeah, I'm not going to be promoting this channel, obviously, right? why would they promote a channel that has minimal views and subscriber losses on a regular basis? They're not going to. Oh, thank you very much, William Shearer. Oh, you tried 20 now. Well, thanks. I appreciate the donation. Like I say, what you could do if you wouldn't mind actually for something like that, what I always tell people is even if you don't want to do the super chats or anything like that, be really cool if you would even just do like a monthly Patreon thing. I did get I do get it's weird actually. It said that I got a new Patreon, but now it's back down. So I gained one, but I lost one. So I'm at $19 a month. I think it's 2 people. I don't know how you get $19 from 2 people, but anyways, that's what. But you can always, like I say, donate through Patreon. You can always look at my Canadian Libertarian BH at gmail.com and offer to donate through like an e-transfer, which is another simple way. And of course, well, with PayPal, I get the money instantaneously. Same with an e-transfer, I get the money instantaneously. And YouTube doesn't get that 30% because everything we do on YouTube, they get their 30% cut, right? So, which seems to be kind of ridiculous. So send $2. Yeah, right. Thanks. Like I say, that's all good. But anyways, folks, I am going to tie this up because I'm pretty much going to be hitting the hour-and-a-half mark, and it looks like everyone's kind of slowing down. Interview, use other shoulders to rise up. Yeah, well, like I said, I keep offering to. You're pretty close. Yeah, I've been at that forever though. NL expat. Just to let you know, I've gone down. I was at 7.8. I think you get up to 7.83, and now I'm at 7.80. So I've been at this at least the 7,000 and like over 7,500 now for probably. Well, like I say, I'd have to go back and check my analytics, but it's been at least 6 months or probably a year where I've been stuck basically not growing at all. Or when I do, it's like a little bit up and then a little bit down. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. But anyways, like I say, it is what it is. But appreciate everyone that did show up. Just going to check the last comments there. What B is doing right now is vital to all real Canadians as we feel alone. Yeah, well, thanks. Well, like I said, I'm still going to keep doing what I do because like I realize how important it is, and because I have great people like you folks that are always here, help and support me in some way. It's was this just more choice because of efforts by people? Well, thanks. But anyways, but yeah, like I say, if anyone out there knows, because I'm kind of at my wits end these days as to know who to even ask to, because thanks, be a great stream. Thank you. Because I don't know who to ask to do an interview anymore. I've offered to do interviews I've done interviews with a few people in the past, but that was another thing too. Most of the times I've done interviews, here's the crazy part, is the interviews was actually one of the times when I was doing quite a bit of interviews, seemed to be the ones that were getting the least amount of views. My regular upload videos could get like a couple thousand views, but then my interviews would only get. So that's when I realized like, oh, well, I better slow down on the interviews because apparently people don't like me doing interviews. That's a problem with doing all this stuff with YouTube, is like, you just never know what the hell you're supposed to do. You never know if you're doing something right or if you're doing something wrong, because it just doesn't seem like anything I do these days is. Yeah, I believe that might be the case there. Sin Allegria. I hate to think of that way because I like to think that it's not the case, but there's definitely something happens. I have no idea. But it is what it is. Anyways, like I say, so I do rely on you folks to help me out as best you can and get my channel spread around there. As far as interviews, if you know anyone that you think I should interview, or you think like they would be interested in having a conversation, because it doesn't even have to be an interview. It could be just a conversation or discussion or an informal debate. Because when I say debate, what I mean is an informal debate where it's just two people talking, and it's like we don't talk over each other, like we give each other turn to say what we got to say. That's what I mean by debate. I don't mean this stupid thing where you got only a couple minutes, you got to get out in a couple minutes, and if you go over that timeline, you can't finish your thought. Like, I just don't believe that foolishness. Yeah, that's way too structured for me. I prefer if someone's got something to say, give them the time to say what they've got to say. So that's what I talk about. But if there's anyone that you can think about that you think would be interested in having a conversation, an informal debate, or a discussion regarding pretty much anything related to liberty with me, I'm all for it. Like I say, I'm at this point in time right now where I don't know who else to reach out to. I've talked to a lot of people. I guess there's Leo. I guess I could talk to Leo. Maybe I could do an interview with Leo. Yeah, I guess Leo's about the only one I could think about at this particular time. But yeah, like I say, I'm more than willing to have lots of discussions with lots of people, as long as Maxime Bernier. I doubt he'd want to have a conversation with me. Could barely, other than the fact that he follows me on Twitter, well, because I was a founding member of the PBC. I've never had any interaction with the man ever. Never. He never reached out to me once. No, I was thinking about it. I was sharing I was retweet. Like I say, to me, when it comes to the PBC and most of the people, and I get it. That's why a lot of times, actually, that's why I have lesser views. I get it. The PBC folks don't like me anymore, right? Simple as that. So, I mean, I would have a conversation with Maxime. I guess I would, but am I going to go reach out to him? No, he basically ignored me the whole time while he was trying to. I think I could have been a tremendous amount of help for the PPC, but because, like I say, they chose to. Everyone was so concerned with the playing politics and kind of yielding the proper message and the proper principles just to kind of make a bigger tent. He, like I say, Maxime, even though he seems like he probably does have some libertarian leanings in terms of his rhetoric, I don't think he really likes libertarians very much, or at least the people that are around him. I don't know about him in particular. Maybe he does. He might, right? Because he used to. I think he used to talk about how he liked Ron Paul, but I just don't think him or the people he surrounds himself with really like. Well, not just a libertarian. I'm sure they would be fine with talking with a political libertarian. I'm actually quite certain that Maxime or the people that surround him would like to have a conversation with like political libertarians that would kind of play ball in the political realm, right? But I think the reason why they're all scared to have an actual conversation with me or anyone that's in the upper echelons of the party is because I'm not gonna like, if you say something that doesn't make sense and it's political, I'm gonna call you out on it, no matter who the hell you are. So I guess what it is for them is to maintain their credibility or this pretense that they're the ones that are fighting for liberty in this country. I guess they don't really want to have that spectacle put on public display, where a real leader of liberty would show that these fucking, basically what it is I'd point out just how weak Maxime truly is. Because everyone's like, well, Scheer's a weak piece of crap. Maxime's way better. Well, yeah, but compared to Maxime, I'm way better too. So it's like, and I'm not part of a party. You can't control me. They don't have any secret info they can use to, hold over my head to shut me the fuck up. So, like I said, I'm pretty dangerous to a lot of people. Not a physical threat or anything like that, but because my mind is free and I'm willing to say whatever the hell I want to say when it's on my mind at the time. I don't hold nothing back. Yeah, most people that want to play politics don't want nothing to do with me. So if you want me to have a conversation, you're probably going to want to be looking to people that don't want to play politics, right? And let's face it, most of the people that were supporters or members or candidates for the PBC were obviously all about playing politics. So anyways, like I say, folks, that is what it is. It's lonely at the top. Unfortunately, it is what it is. When you're that one person in a gazillion that's willing to actually hold people to the rhetoric and actually be principled, right? Actually not just play politics, but to be principled, then like I say, that does put you in a position. Yeah, she's the same way. Yeah. Yeah. Come up with someone that would be willing to, if you can come up with someone that's not like, say, PBC, like I say, none of them. They just want to play politics. I mean, would it be fun if you just want to watch two people play politics or talk about politics? Yeah, but yeah, I guess like NL expert. That's my things. Yeah, play to my strengths. I tried it, folks. Listen, I tried it. And a lot of the folks that watch my videos, they seen I tried to play the politics with folks, but man, it not only did it make me feel dirty, but it actually I felt like it was even destroying my own credibility. And I might have even lost a lot of genuine libertarians or anarchists from watching my videos and my streams because of the fact that I was playing ball with a bunch of fucking politicians or people that love playing politics. So yeah, I'm going to do exactly what. And I agree, Rita. Hope the status libertarians are still status. Yeah. Like I say, some of them we can talk. Like, I mean, Tim Mullen, I could talk with Tim Mullen anytime, actually, but he has his own thing that he's doing with David. I could reach out to Tim, and he's very generous with his time, and we could have a conversation about lots of things. But like I say, I like to I'd like to get some new people, right? But yeah, as far as the political types, to me, it really is genuinely waste of time. And it's at this point in time, it's just too below me. Well, I mean, all it would do is basically, as much as I want subscribers and I want views and I want likes, I don't want it so bad that I'm going to sell myself out for it. That's what it is. So I guess I'm kind of partly, I'll even admit, partly I'm my own worst enemy at times in terms of trying to spread my information or get, become more popular, because But that's what it is to be principled. And I know there's only a few of us out here that are like this, but I'm very grateful, and I'm hoping that you people are too, that there are at least a few of us out here that are willing to stick to our principles, right? And not just conform or yield to needing the popularity. Like I say, fortunately for me, the one thing that's always kept me sticking to my principles for the most part, or at least always pivoting back to head in that general direction, is that I got good people in my real life, my real personal life, that I got good people but I could imagine, like I've even set this scenario up in my mind. I can imagine, like, if I didn't have good people in my life, was disenfranchised with like everyone in my family, didn't have any real friends, was kind of isolated alone, I'm sure I would be willing to yield a lot of my principles just to become more conformist, so that I could become part of a tribe or part of a group, right? But fortunately, like I say, for me, I do have some good people in my personal life, so I don't feel this necessity, just to feel like a sense of belonging to yield to other people. And besides, the ones that I do have that keep coming back time and time again, that we have mutual respect and admiration for each other, are the ones like yourself in the chat. Like I say, I'm way happier to have, like, I'd rather for every one of you people in the chat, I could get 10 people that are into politics, and the numbers would be bigger, right? I could see the 10-1. The numbers, the views would be bigger, but think about the crap I'd have to be dealing with. So it actually probably would put me in a worse state of mind than I am now, at least the way it is now. I know that the people that are genuinely watching my videos and my streams are people that share that same kind of passion for liberty that I do. So that helps me going more than just the number game, right? But anyways, folks, I'm going to tie this stream up, like I say, because it's about a half hour now. But yeah, has YouTube say. But I mean, like I say, I'd be willing to even have a conversation, but just don't bring up, same with like, and I'm nothing against like even Mark Friesen, but he's more like and I even said in my streams, a couple streams, like, go check out, and if you want to go do he's setting something up, I think, where they're going to go to Ottawa, do that thing. But like I say, a lot of these folks just want to talk politics, and I don't feel like I can actually have a good, honest, forthright discussion with them without calling them out on their own hypocrisies. Because that's the thing, people that are into politics, I'd have to call them out on their hypocrisies, which is going to put them at odds with me. And like I say, not going to work out good. It might be a good spectacle for a short time, but then I've just created more enemies, right? So I've got enough of them as it is, folks. Anyways, I'm going to tie up this stream. Like I say, I'll probably do another one either tomorrow or the next day, and the next one's probably going to be dealing with the coronavirus again, because there's a whole lot more information coming out as a consequence of that. So we'll definitely be getting more up to speed and up to date on some of the latest breaking news in regards to the coronavirus. But you folks all have yourself a great day. Keep yourself warm. Hopefully that weather does start to get a little better over the next couple of days at least, because it's been a little bit chilly lately. Actually, talking about, I seen this last one. You too, Rika. Is most people are sheep. Check out my Canadian Libertarian Facebook page. There's some pretty cool memes I've shared up there today, and get them out there and share them out on your own social media pages. And one of them is about the sheep and the sheepdog and all that stuff. But you'll see it, like I say, if you go on my YouTube or my Canadian Libertarian Facebook page. But everyone have yourself a great day. We'll see you in the next stream. This is Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.